I'll write anything you want. As soon as I write my play.
You mean the play you can't even start?
A lampe de gauche is free-spirited,
Idealistic.
passionate.
My name's Lisa Burrell. I play a lampe de gauche.
I'll write anything you want. As soon as I write my play.
You mean the play you can't even start?
A lampe de gauche is free-spirited,
Idealistic.
passionate.
My name's Lisa Burrell. I play a lampe de gauche. It only took probably 2 weeks worth of rehearsal to get that name correct. I listened to that on Wikipedia like 12,000 times and was corrected 12,001. She actually was a real person. She was a French playwright and activist during the French Revolution. She did die by the guillotine for her outspokenness. She was against racism. She fought for the right for women to get divorced, civil partnerships. She was a feminist. She's an early feminist, but very, very strong woman and pretty much a badass. And unfortunately, she lost her head because of her beliefs.
My place is all just the right kind of people, thank you very much. Excuse me for trying to do something revolutionary during this revolution.
Hi, Charlotte Corday.
Ooh, spot on, Charlotte Corday. A soon-to-be killer in revolutionary France.
Don't say it like that.
Charlotte Corday is zealous.
Tenacious.
It's hardcore.
My name is Michaela Domingo and I play Charlotte Corday. Charlotte Corday was a real person. She did indeed assassinate Jean-Paul Marat. She was actually given the nickname of Angel of Assassins. In the show, Charlotte is very fiery. She really sets the play into motion. She has a very clear goal in the show, and that is to be able to assassinate Jean-Paul Marat and stop all these killings that he's been doing. There's a line that she says in the show that he has killed hundreds of her neighbors in one day. So to really stop that massacre, she puts it upon herself to assassinate him.
My actions will be talked about for centuries, and I don't want to sound like a dingbat. I'm rebelling against slavery, and you're battling writer's block.
Marianne Angel is grounding.
Grounded.
Brave.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm playing Marianne Angel. She is a confident and purpose-driven woman. She has a family back home, her husband and 2 children. Marianne is a revolutionary from the island of Saint-Domingue, which is now known as Haiti. Back in the day, it was a French slave colony. In France, there is the La Marianne, which is the national personification, a symbol of freedom and liberty and equality and fraternity and reason. So the name Marianne Angel is actually kind of, if you think about it that way, she is literally the symbol of freedom. Because Marianne actually isn't a real historical person in this play. She is a composite of many different unnamed characters from the Haitian Revolution. Because she was black and was a black country, we don't have a real history of a lot of these people. We know a few of their names, but for the most part, these women were unnamed, but they were the ones who were like leading the troops, rallying people. They were the ones who really kind of got things going for the Haitian Revolution to even start.
We're not going to state crimes if you write a play about me.
Marianne Angel, activist for freedom from slavery in the Caribbean. Lover of cheeses and universal human rights. Strong, yet sardonically sympathetic.
No, she says sardonically. Pamphlets!
I will!
Is she late or lost? What were they talking about? Was it her? It's always her. Or is she being her again? It's a confusing time. Hello, Marie. Holy crap! You're Marie Antoinette!
Marie Antoinette is animated.
It's fanciful.
I say heart for Marie Antoinette because I think that her character has so much more depth to it than any of us originally perceived.
I'm Jennifer Pagano, and I'm playing Marie Antoinette. She was born a princess of Austria, and she was married off for political reasons to form an alliance with France. Everything's about appearances. She's the center of attention. This is her place in the world. She's known her purpose as the queen, as a woman during this time. In the show, we see her very much flamboyantly making an entrance. She's very much wants the attention on her. She's always on display. And throughout her experience with the other women in this show, we really start to see Marie becoming more and more thoughtful, and that there really is a deepness there that is slowly being discovered.
Maybe she can help us.
Help us! Help us! No!
I mean, sometimes a revolution needs a woman's touch!
Greetings, terrestrials! The date is October 14th, 2021, and these are some strange times indeed. You're watching Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. I, of course, am your host, Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bizarre. Every week on this show, we take your calls to hear about the strange, the unexplained, extraterrestrials, interdimensional beings, cryptids, ghosts, spirits. If you can't explain it, we want to hear about it. But this week, unfortunately, my friends, or fortunately, phone lines are closed. Yes, our good friend, our good tech man, Steven, is out for the night. So we will not be taking phone calls, but we've got an incredible night. Oh, hi, Cliff and Steven. I see we're coming in with the chat on a little delay. Ooh, pardon me. Folks, tonight we've got a heck of a show for you. Things are going to be a little different tonight, because since we're not taking calls, we're painting pumpkins. That's right. We're painting a pumpkin tonight in preparation, because on October 29th, mark your calendars, October 29th at 8:30 p.m., we will be hosting our very first live show. I mean live on stage at the Maryland Ensemble Theater right in Frederick, Maryland. That's right. It's going to be a Halloween Eve program, during which we will attempt to summon the ancient spirit of Halloween, but we can't do that without a good pumpkin. We can't do that without some good pumpkins in the room. If you want the ancient Halloween deities to arrive, you must have pumpkins at the ready. And so tonight, we are announcing, this is very important, for those of you watching now, we'll reiterate this later, of course. Bring a pumpkin. Bring a pumpkin with you to the Strange Times Indeed Halloween Eve live show at the Maryland Ensemble Theater and get $5 off your ticket when you purchase at the door. Now, if you are intending to purchase at the door, do let us know so we can kind of keep an idea of the head count. Let us know ahead of time, but bring a pumpkin with you, get $5 off of your tickets. If you bring a pumpkin with you to the theater, we will need these pumpkins. We won't be smashing them. We won't be breaking them to bits. We just need them there to channel the spirits, to channel the ancient Halloween deities through the powers of their stems, through the connective interdimensional flows that weave between every single pumpkin in the pumpkin patch. We can summon the spirit of Halloween, and we will be doing that October 29th at the Maryland Ensemble Theater. So tonight, we're going to be painting a pumpkin just to help prepare for that very evening. But before we get to that, folks, it's time for some top stories this evening. Top stories right off the top. We've got a big one. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about the discovery of a live rat king. Oh. Spengler has discovered a little silverfish on the floor, and he has done away with it. Good job, good boy. Spengler, of course, our Chupacabra survivor, and our intern on the show, will be joining us this evening for some pumpkin painting later on. Always a blessing to have him with us. So, 2 weeks ago, we discussed the discovery of a live rat king. Well, here's some new news. This is coming out of Michigan. Coming out of Michigan, this news coming off of the Coast to Coast AM website. They have discovered police in this area have been called and rescued a squirrel king in Michigan. No, not just a rat king. No, this is a new rodent entirely. An incredible new cryptid. As we know, when a rat king is formed, they gain telepathic powers. Who's to know? This is the first recorded incidence that I've noticed of a squirrel king. Now, what kind of abilities this squirrel king has, it's hard to tell. Because, of course, the police were called to untangle this squirrel king. We've got an image of it here. Here it is. This is the squirrel king off to the side here. Now, it was saved by these officers. But I have to ask time and again, is this proper use of this resource? Are there not studied cryptozoologists who could better attempt to take care of this squirrel king and nurture it, to discover its true powers and its true capabilities? Should the police really be our first call every time we encounter something we can't quite explain? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Things to consider, but squirrel kings are out there, and this is just a notice. Keep your eyes open, folks, and if there's one squirrel king, it's very possible that more could appear. Coming up next on the top stories list, we've got incredible news coming out of the South China Sea. Then, when a United States fast attack submarine had a run-in with a mysterious object under the sea, an actual collision that ended up injuring, 11 sailors aboard this submarine. Now, we've talked about this at length on the show, the existence of unidentified submersible objects and the possibility that these unidentified submersible objects may in fact be an advanced species living beneath the seas as detailed in Ivan T. Sanderson's Invisible Residence. We spent a long time talking about this. You can find all this on the Met Comedy Night YouTube page. You can find our old episodes right on there. Catch up. I'm telling you, folks, there's something beneath our waters, deep, deep down beneath. We've got UFOs coming out of the sea. We've got the Tic Tac UFO, the Tic Tac UFO over the ocean. We've got, in addition to that, there's supposed footage somewhere, top secret, of a triangular UFO emerging from beneath the seas. Evidence is out there, and now we've got unidentified submersible objects colliding with our own submarines. Something is beneath the waters keeping an eye on us, and it could very well be a cloaked device. This isn't the first time that large objects like this have appeared on radar or have even done damage to our things. Ivan T. Sanderson details in his book an event in which there was a unidentified submersible object off the coast of California. They bombarded this thing with explosives. It did not show up off of the radar, but they could not find a physical trace of it. And yet it was there, just watching, just waiting. What kind of technology is under the seas, and what is bumping into our submersible objects? If you have evidence of unidentified submersible objects or advanced life under the seas, you can always call into the show on another week or send your evidence to strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. That's right, strangetipsindeed@gmail.com. That is where you can send all your hot tips during the week when we are not live on the air. A new carnivorous plant has been discovered. Big news out of National Geographic. This carnivorous plant has reached as far as Alaska, going down the west coast to California. This is a false asphodel. I'm going to go ahead and put the name of it in the chat for those watching along at home. A false asphodel, perhaps. I am not a plant scientist. I do not know the names of all of the flowers, but this plant, which has been around for quite some time, it is not necessarily a new plant. I see we're not copying and pasting, eh? Alright, we're not putting it in the chat. Either way, this plant has existed for quite some time, but what has been newly discovered is that this plant is taking in insects, like any carnivorous plant, but similarly to that of a sundew plant, which is the kind that are more like a fly will fly into it and then it will wrap around. Now, let's pull up an image here, because I've got it. I've got an image right here of this exact plant. So you know what to look for with these carnivorous plants. But what I think is very interesting, of course, this plant was not thought to be carnivorous prior to this discovery. The false asphodel, I can't point in the right, oh, there we go, we got it. We're mirrored tonight, or we're not mirrored, so it's a little difficult to know which way to point. There we go, right there. The false asphodel, not previously believed to be a carnivorous plant, is now turned carnivorous. Now, this might be a new development, and what I find curious about this, especially as we get into this realm of climate change, the world changing, the atmosphere changing, and of course the soil changing beneath it. If the air is changing and the climate overall is fluctuating, then we might be getting soil that does not nurture the plants as well as it once did. The water coming from the skies might not have the same nutrients that it once carried to these plants. And of course, Venus flytraps, if anyone is familiar with any carnivorous plant, a lot of them really thrive in areas in which their soil gives them no nutrients, and their water gives them no nutrients. In fact, if you were to put a Venus flytrap in normal soil, it would burn the roots from the natural chemicals in the soil. Same if you were to water it with tap water. So I'm curious to see if this is not necessarily a hidden fact about this plant, but a new discovery in that these plants perhaps could have evolved to better situate themselves in this earth and to better survive in their environments, which could indicate that as the climate continues to change and the earth continues to change, we might be seeing more and more of these plants which are taking it upon themselves to consume life forms on this planet to just keep going. So be on the lookout for the false asphodel and be on the lookout for more plants. You never know. Next thing you know, your daisies might bite your toes off when you're walking through your garden. Surprise news today from George Knapp. This is actually surprise news from yesterday or 2 days ago. George Knapp, a famed UFO journalist, responsible for covering the Skinwalker Ranch, as well as one of the first people to really interview Bob Lazar, one of the employees who is said to have worked at Area 51 and gained access to extraterrestrial craft, did some reverse engineering, and is familiar with all these quantum mechanics that are being done on these crafts to develop new technology. George Knapp blew the lid off Bob Lazar, he blew the lid off Skinwalker Ranch, and now he's got a new book out, announced just yesterday, self-published on Amazon. We've got one in the mail. It's called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Now, this is a book about the American Pentagon program to look into UFOs, specifically the program that Lou Elizondo. Now, this is a man who made big waves when we were talking just a few months ago about potential UFO disclosure from the government. He was one of the big heads in moving that forward. Now, this book, Lou Elizondo did not have much to do with this book, but this is the same program that he worked on, and it is alleged in this book that Lou Elizondo is capable of remote viewing. That's telepathic viewing of a space further away than what is within our reach. So, Lou Elizondo, if you are remote viewing the program tonight, if you are right here in the room with us, thank you for joining. Of course, please call in any other night of the week or any other week of the program. We'd love to have you on to talk about these things. Now, big splash in the UFO Twitter community. Demi Lovato, they've got a new program coming out, a new TV show, in which Demi is going to be looking into UFOs. Now, we've been following Demi on the program. Demi, they are big on UFOs. They are big on the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind with Dr. Stephen Greer, contacting extraterrestrials through meditation. Not medication. Meditation. Demi has come out in an interview and said that she believes it is offensive to refer to extraterrestrials as aliens. Now, this is something that we really set forth on the show from the very beginning. UFO Twitter is really a buzz about this. They're pretty upset that Demi Lovato doesn't want them to use the term aliens and would prefer that we use the term extraterrestrials. UFO Twitter, not about that. They're pretty worried here about the snowballing cancellation of the extraterrestrials, but let me tell you, you cannot cancel the extraterrestrials. If Dave Chappelle is still making specials, we cannot do anything to stop these extraterrestrials from entering our atmosphere, that's for sure, just because of whatever we may choose to call them. Now they're saying don't push these descriptors, don't push these things on them, because the extraterrestrials have no clue. But I think really, given the way that the term aliens has been used in this country, it does help give us a little distinguishment from helping programs like ours sound like shows that are talking about extraterrestrials versus other programs that are alt-right hate machines, like the Dave Chappelle special. All right, well, that's the top stories tonight. Let's get into some painting, folks. Let's get in and get ready to paint some pumpkins. Now, of course, to get this going, we've got to change our gears. We got to shift locations for a bit. So we'll be right back in just a second. We'll see you right here on Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. We're getting ready to paint some pumpkins. I hope you've got a pumpkin. I hope you got some paint. We're going to be preparing to summon the Halloween spirits on October 29th. But to do that, we've got to get some primo pumpkins made. So join me in the art corner in just a second. In the meantime, get your art supplies, get your pumpkins. It's nearly painting time. Greetings, terrestrials, and welcome back to Strange Times Indeed with Cliff McAllister. It's pumpkin painting time. If you missed the top stories, well, that's on you. On October 29th, we are hosting our first ever live show at the Maryland Ensemble Theater in Frederick, Maryland. And during this program, we will be attempting to summon the ancient spirits of Halloween. But to do this, we've got to have a nice pumpkin. We got to have a good pumpkin painted. And we hope that you at home are joining us with your very own pumpkin to do some painting tonight. And we're going to start right over here. And I'll show you why. One of the things I really picked out this pumpkin for, every pumpkin is special. This one has this odd little scar on it, which I think is something we can absolutely have a little bit of fun with when it comes to painting these pumpkins. You want a pumpkin with a bit of life, a pumpkin with a little bit of backstory. And of course, you simply must see the extraterrestrial pumpkin discovered at the Gaver Tree Farm. Look at this. Looks like it's from another world, covered in what may very well be a bunch of tiny little eyeballs. Now, if you're painting a pumpkin tonight, or you're looking to paint a pumpkin in a couple of weeks, we are hosting the show at the Maryland Ensemble Theater on October 29th. But if you bring your own pumpkin to this program, if you come the day of, bring a pumpkin with you when you buy your tickets. You'll get $5 off. You get $5 off admission, but you must have a pumpkin with you at the night of. We need these pumpkins to summon the spirits. We're not going to harm these pumpkins. We just need their presence in the space. So let's get down into it, folks. It is time to paint a pumpkin. So let's see what we can summon out of this. Let's see. What? No discussion of. We'll. Yes, I got those, but it's been a week. So we will be having the pumpkin. We will be looking at those Bigfoot Museum pics next week on the show. Thank you so much for sending those in, Barefoot and 52. We really appreciate it. It's just this is how the show shook out this week. We'll get to those pictures soon, I promise. Tonight, we got pumpkins to paint, and I've learned from our previous painting program, if I spend too long talking and less time painting, then you're not going to see much painting and nothing's going to get finished in time for the show. And just to give you all a taste of what is capable when you are painting little pumpkins. I mean, we can just to make this, we got this here. We'll return to that in just a minute when that paint dries, but let's do this. I like to picture this pumpkin. You know, you always picture a pumpkin, give it some life. What is going to really make this thing pop? Think, what is this pumpkin trying to tell me? Well, this pumpkin's trying to tell me it is from another planet. And it is covered with millions of little eyes. So how can we add these little, we're just going to put in the initial painting here of a few eyes. So we can get a look at what this glorious extraterrestrial pumpkin may look like further down the line. Boop, boop. Now in the meantime, as I get ready for this, we'll name every pumpkin that is brought to the Maryland Ensemble Theater for our Halloween live show will be given a name, and will be given a name by the ancient spirit of Halloween. For it is not my place to name the pumpkins. But once we summon the spirit of Halloween, we will know exactly the name of every pumpkin in the theater. But you've got to arrive on October 29th at 8:30 at the Maryland Ensemble Theater for the Strange Times Indeed Halloween Eve Mass. Masses are big right now. Anyone with a Netflix account will tell you that. Particularly ones at midnight, but we're having an 8:30 Halloween Eve Mass to summon the ancient spirits of the holiday. Now this one this is the pumpkin that will be primarily used to channel the ancient Halloween deity, this big one right here. So we're going to have to really start thinking about what we are putting on this particular pumpkin. Alright, let's let this one dry for a hot minute. And look at our pumpkin friend here. There we go. There we go. Alright. So many colors to choose from. Now let's first do some light. some light accent work around this odd little scar on this pumpkin here. This is what's really gonna kind of bring some life to this one. There we go, there we go. Now, of course, if you are painting a pumpkin at home that you intend to bring to the Halloween show, you can send that to us at strangetimesindeed@gmail.com. And we will go ahead and share that on a future episode as we build up to the live show. We'll also be talking about our friend Barefoot and 52's trip to the Bigfoot Museum in Tennessee. There are so many things to discuss on the program. So many pumpkins to paint. Of course, we've got to give this thing an eyeball somewhere. I'm kind of thinking, let's see, let's take a look. This is what we're looking at right here. This is where our little pumpkin scar is. Or if folks saying in the chat, do you feel, here we go, let's see what, let me read through this. Shatner went to space and had an awakening experience, it looked like. Well, that's nice. Well, let's just say that William Shatner has some unsavory opinions. Despite being an icon of science fiction television, guy's got a few things he might want to work on. And frankly, though it's exciting that he went to space, kind of tired of rich people going there. Sometimes to bring something like a pumpkin to life, you've really got to just start anywhere. Now the question in our chat here, let's see, do you feel sexy Halloween costumes are proper homage to such an important day? I think Halloween is a holiday that can be celebrated any number of ways, and I think there's a certain importance that a good sexy costume can bring. Now, I'm not trying to say Halloween is a holiday that ought to be as sexy as something like Valentine's Day, but I do think that Halloween as a holiday is one in which, when done properly, a good sexy costume can be important. Important to completing perhaps a certain Halloween rituals, or to find yourself getting laid on Halloween night. Well, there's no shame in that. Add a little red here. Simon in the chat. Rich people are being sent to space at an alarming rate. Should we allow them back on Earth? Or do we want to say, you've achieved a point in your life where you're able to just go up there for funsies. Maybe why don't you just stay? And we'll hack into your bank account and redistribute that wealth. The space travel ought to be accessible for the people. Or it ought to be accessible only for science. And I do think it's important that we start getting more people up in space. After all, who would not want to do the dirty in zero gravity? But NASA, time and time again, has said, the astronauts aren't doing that on the space shuttle. I'd be curious. Alright, let's see what we've got here. I'm gonna do some practice now. Just wanted to pop in and see the great pumpkin. Namaste, human travelers. Shatner has some issues and has said some things, as we all have. Namaste, lol. And the pumpkin is rock and roll. Thank you for tuning in, Sleeping Zebra. Thank you for joining us for some pumpkin painting. We hope that perhaps a trip to space will bring all of these people a little bit of empathy, let's call it. Or a, I don't know, something that makes you treat the people working in your warehouses like human beings. But we haven't quite seen that change yet. I do think what this pumpkin needs is a nice crown. A good, like, slime crown. So let's give it just a little crown all the way across, all the way around. There we go. And we're just gonna let that drip down and see how that flows in. Yeah, there we go. Let's bring that up so folks can see what we're actually looking at here. This is our pumpkin's slime crown. And be dripping down. So add a little bit of texture to that. Now, let's give this thing a little nose so we can breathe, of course. Give it some nose holes over here. And a mouth. A good pumpkin simply must have a mouth, otherwise it will not be able to speak. When the ancient Halloween spirits arrive. Where did the black paint go? Ah, here it is. Alright. We'll just want a little bit more of that for the mouth. Now, if you send Patrick Stewart into space, that'd be a different story. Now, Patrick Stewart, there is a captain of a Starship Enterprise who I think ought to visit space. In a good way. That's somebody who I think has earned it through his good deeds on this Earth. I think you've either got to put in the training of an astronaut to get into space, the hard work, the understanding, the comprehension, and also the physical prowess, or you've got to prove yourself to be one of the ethically good people in this world. And oh lordy, good old Sir Patrick Stewart may be just the one for that. Woo! Hand full of paint. Now, let's get a good little splatter brush. Yes, this'll do just nicely. Within every pumpkin, within this inside of every pumpkin, now when you carve out a pumpkin, it's a little different. Because you're taking out the insides and you're emptying them out. But inside every pumpkin, you've really got Schrodinger's multiverse. There's a galaxy of possibilities within every pumpkin. And so, when you make a hole to a pumpkin, you get a glimpse into that galaxy. So we're gonna add a little bit of stars to the inside of this one. Oh yes, look at that. A galaxy within itself. We'll highlight this pumpkin with a little bit of white. There we go. Look at this thing. Now this is a pumpkin. It's going to help us bring the spirit of Halloween to the Maryland Ensemble Theater on October 29th. And if you bring a pumpkin with you, if you bring a pumpkin to the show on October 29th, you'll get $5 off your ticket. We need these pumpkins to help us summon the spirit of Halloween. Now let's look over at our little alien pumpkin over here, our smaller one. See if we can't give these eyes a little bit of pupils. A little bit of pupils for this one. Let's take a look. Bing, ba, bing. Bing. Bong, bong, bong. You know, inside of space, there are infinite possibilities as to what's out there. And in fact, just this very weekend, NASA is launching a new ship, a new satellite, to study asteroids in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. We don't know what's in those asteroids. We don't know what's out there. And if we just start sending people to space because they were on a television show, or because they've got a lot of money, that doesn't mean they're aware of the possibilities that are out there, the potential dangers, the potential missteps they might make when interacting with extraterrestrials should they come across them. There we go. Now this pumpkin. Now this one's got some eyes. Just in there in the patch. It's watching you. It's watching you. Now should we give these eyes like a little outline? Let's see. Let's take a look. Just highlight the eyes a little more. And just give them a little bit more a highlight around. Give some eye makeup, you know? Show off those lovely pupils. Oh, missed one. Missed one. Well, those are my thoughts as far as until we can let everybody into space, we shouldn't just be sending the wealthy up there willy-nilly. We've got a planet to save, people. And we're not going to save it by jettisoning people into space for fun. That pumps all sorts of stuff into the atmosphere. And until we can get until we can successfully reverse engineer extraterrestrial craft, or the craft that is being used by these underwater beings that are able to travel through the depths of the ocean into our own atmosphere and then into space in a clean and quiet way. Until we are able to master that technology, we shouldn't be launching these powerful rockets into space. Oh, yes, Spangler, our sweet little boy. He is malnourished for attention, people. Those in the chat, lavish this good boy with some love. I've got paint hands, so I hesitate to... There we go. Look at him. Look at our sweet little boy. Spangler, our office intern, so devoid of attention. So devoid of attention. Where are you going, our friend? There you go. Hello, hello. Look at him. You can just barely make out those beautiful green eyes of his. But there it is. And there are our pumpkins painted tonight on the program. Look at these two things. Oh, now there's that guy. There's this one. What pumpkins are you painting at home? Send your pumpkins in at Strange Tips Indeed. We love to see your pumpkins. But I think this is where we are going to be stopping tonight. On the program wrapping up a little early tonight. But that's okay. That's okay. The important thing is that you join us at the Maryland Ensemble Theater on October 29th. Bring your pumpkins. We're going to be summoning the spirit of Halloween for our special live Halloween show. All sorts of things. You have no clue what's going to happen. But it's going to be a great, grand old time. Join us there. Tickets are available if you go to the Linktree on our Instagram page. That's at strangetimesindeed. You can find it right there. You can get your tickets ahead of time, but if you plan on bringing a pumpkin and saving $5, send in your pumpkin. Let us know what to expect right here. And we'll know to expect you at the Maryland Ensemble Theater. Now, if you're curious as to what is going on at this space on another weekend, specifically this one, they've got the Revolutionists going up for their final weekend of the show. There's 4 more performances. Well, 3 more now, I suppose. The other one's probably wrapping up in about 15 minutes. You got a show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so check that out. And Oh Crit, the D&D improv group that has been entertaining folks right here on Met Comedy Night. They're performing live this weekend and next as a part of the Met Comedy Night programming. You can watch that right here on Twitch, or you can tune in person at the Maryland Ensemble Theater. That is Friday this week and Friday next week at 8:30. And the Friday after that, it's our time, baby. So come on down and join us for an incredible Halloween show. Bring your pumpkins. Love to see you there. Let's see. I think if you have enough money to go to space, you might also match the same amount you are paying for the trip to share for taking care of society. I think that is a good rule. I think that is a great rule. If you plan to go to space and you are not an astronaut by trait, and you're not an astronomer or an astrologer or what have you by trait, you do not study the stars as a part of your job, as a part of your profession. Perhaps you just own a, let's call it a glamorized digital Walmart that abuses its employees, then you sure as heck better be investing the exact same amount of money into space as you are in, I don't know, maybe paying taxes for once in your life. Just a thought. And helping the actual people who are still here on Earth and do not have the ability to go into space. There are a lot of folks who are in a lot of trouble, financially or otherwise, because of the way that things have been set up here. And if we can just put a little bit of that back that we are putting into space, or that the wealthy are putting into space for farts and giggles, well then maybe we might get some good accomplished. Because it ain't cheap to go to space, I'll tell you that much. There you go. That's my lesson about space travel today. And these are some painted pumpkins. We hope you'll join us at the Maryland Ensemble Theater. We're going to talk a lot less about who should and shouldn't be going to space, and more about Halloween and summoning the spirits of Halloween and ghost stories and all those things. It's going to be an incredible night, an incredibly fun time. So join us there. Bring your pumpkins. We're going to need it if we are to successfully summon the spirit of Halloween. Until then, thank you everyone who joined us and watched along, everyone who painted a pumpkin with us. It has been, as always, it's been a delight to be with you. I'm Cliff McAllister, the Czar of the Bazaar. Stay strange. Terrestrials.